One day, my husband came to me and announced that he intended to marry another woman. He gave me the choice to either stay with him or separate from him. With bitterness, I asked him what I had done to deserve this. Mockingly, he replied, "Look at yourself. Look at how your appearance has changed. You've gained weight, stopped caring about how you look, and now you resemble one of those miserable housewives. I'm now the manager of a major company, and you're no longer suitable for me. I need a beautiful, elegant woman to represent me in society." I smiled sarcastically through my tears as memories of the past rushed back. Years ago, I was that beautiful, radiant woman who shone like the sun, drawing everyone's attention. I was exceptional and ambitious, with everyone predicting a brilliant career for me. Back then, he was just a junior employee who constantly sought my advice on work matters, trying to learn from my expertise. Gradually, he got closer to me, weaving his web of love around me until I willingly stepped into the prison of his affection and the confinement of marriage. Over time, I discovered his selfishness, that he only cared for himself and sought nothing beyond his own interests. But by then I was deeply in love with him. When he asked me to leave my successful career to devote myself entirely to him, claiming he didn't want to share my attention with anything or anyone else, I agreed. After all, at that time, nothing mattered to me but him. I convinced myself that his success would be mine as well. He exploited this to the fullest extent. I channeled all my intelligence and expertise into helping him achieve his ambitions. I gave him all the strategic tips to get closer to his superiors. I worked long nights on projects and reports that he would present to the board, earning admiration and climbing the corporate ladder quickly, all thanks to my efforts. For years, I managed the household and the children during the day and focused on his work at night. I never complained. I dimmed myself so that he could shine. When he finally became the company's manager, it was the happiest day of my life. I felt as though I had achieved my dreams through him, that my sacrifices had paid off, and that I could finally relax and enjoy life with him. But now, standing at the pinnacle of success, he looked down on me with contempt, pushing me out of his life and replacing me with someone else. He trampled on my heart and crushed my soul with his cutting words. I wiped away my tears firmly and lifted my head with pride. I am a woman who is not made to cry, but one who carries within her the strength of 100 men and the wisdom of a queen. Woe to the man whom a woman removes from her heart and places in her mind. When a woman loves, she crowns her man as a king, but when she hates, she throws the crown to the ground and relishes breaking it underfoot. That night I stayed awake, thinking deeply. My mind buzzed with activity and determination. The next morning, I dressed in my finest clothes, adorned myself, and prepared breakfast with 2 cups of coffee. I approached my husband with a smile, enjoying the confused look on his face, and invited him to breakfast. I took great pleasure in his unease and shock at my reaction. After we ate, I held his hand, smiled, and said, "I agree with your decision to marry another woman because I cannot imagine life without you." He smiled confidently and arrogantly, and I smiled back sarcastically, thinking to myself, "Yes, smile now. You have yet to see the cunning of a woman." Not long after his marriage, he began draining our savings. He bought his new wife a house in her name, a car, and endless gifts. That's when I demanded a new house, with a large garden for the kids to play in and a car for myself. He agreed without hesitation, as if rewarding me for my seemingly perfect behavior, or perhaps attempting to be fair. I didn't care. I saw it as an opportunity to turn the situation in my favor. I hired a housekeeper, a nanny for the children, private tutors in every subject, and enrolled them in elite clubs. On one hand, this wasted his money, and on the other, it ensured they received the care I no longer provided because all my focus was now on my husband, monitoring him and his actions. I installed state-of-the-art surveillance systems in the house and listening devices to track his every move and know every detail of his life before he could even tell me. I pampered him excessively and demanded large sums of money, which he gladly gave, grateful for my indifference to his second marriage. Occasionally, I hinted at my interest in expensive jewelry, and he would surprise me with luxurious pieces. I was sure he spent even more on the other woman, but I didn't care as long as I got what I wanted. I used the money to enroll in advanced business management courses and conducted research for a project I had dreamed of pursuing before I fell victim to a hollow love. Any leftover funds I saved for that project. Through my surveillance, I discovered that he had drained all our bank accounts and was now broke. I was puzzled at first, as he had been generous to both his wives, but how could he afford it? Then I realized the truth. This was the beginning of his downfall. It came to me, with little effort, during one of his phone calls. He was begging a colleague not to expose him for tampering with company accounts to embezzle large sums of money. He swore he would repay everything with a loan he was awaiting approval for. I made one simple phone call to the chairman of the board, tipping him off with that priceless piece of information. I sat in my favorite spot on the balcony, rocking in my chair, sipping my warm coffee, and smiling in triumph as I read the news of his arrest, his initials accompanying the headline. I set the newspaper aside, just as I had set him aside in my life and my heart long ago. What happens to him now doesn't matter to me. I have far more important things to focus on. I went to my meeting with the bank officer to finalize a loan for my project. I still need some additional funds, but nothing will stop me now.